How can we encourage young people to get married and start families to prevent population collapse?
Yeah, I actually think that that's a big issue. I mean, we are not really matching a replacement rate in this. We have a fertility rate that's problematic for the long run in the United States and the modern West as a whole. And it's not just the economic effects of that, where you have an upside down kind of inverted pyramid as people age, where you don't have a working population of people in their 30s or 40s that are able to support an older population. It's not just that we're facing, countries like Japan are facing. It's also a symptom of a deeper loss of happiness and fulfillment, because I do think it's not necessarily that every person is wired this way, but as a general norm, I think that most human beings for most of human history and most societies have been at their best when you do have family formation through marriage and actually bringing children into this world who are instilled with a value set that came from a generation before you. And so that, I think, is no accident that we see the loss of family formation and the loss of fertility over the same period that we see a rise in depression and anxiety and antipsychotic usage and antidepressant usage. I think those things go together. You could debate the causation. The reality is there's probably causation in both directions. But if that's the case, one of the ways to address it is to address some of that mental health epidemic that lies upstream. People are less likely to feel like they have the confidence or desire to engage in family formation, marital relationship, having kids, if they themselves have lost their own sense of self-worth. So then that goes back to what are some of the factors that are eroding our own sense of self-worth. Some of that comes through the early and premature use of social media.
What's going on, everyone? It's Toscreen here today. I want to give an analysis about, did social media ruin dating? And what's bringing on this video is that I did a video talking about, I guess, how social media allowed modern women to give bad advice. And some women in there were saying that you're giving bad advice yourself. And they haven't really responded back to my questioning, asking what exactly did I give as wrong advice. And I think the intro, you saw Vivek kind of speaking about social issues, how we're not really replacing ourselves, what incentives are we're really putting for people to get married and have relationships. And I do have to, I do wholly agree that social media is the driving factor of all this, right? You got the two conflicting sides that they both agree that dating is bad, feminist and the red pill. Now, red pill may not like this distinction. They may claim that they like the family, but a lot of their actions and philosophies, it's more reliant on an amoral position. It's moral relativism, regardless if they want to admit it or not. I spoke with some people in the comment sections talking about, they try to bring the facts about how, oh, hey, look, some religious people are hypocrites. So calling us a hypocrite, Kenny, is not really helping the situation. And what I'm trying to say is that when a Christian do something wrong, he knows he's being a hypocrite. When red pill are doing things, they don't know they're being a hypocrite, right? Because all of it seems like it's based on what is best for the men. And I'm not necessarily saying that's a wrong position. But I think when, from a societal point of view, having these conflicts in a society is not good for us in the long run. And this is why I opened up with Vivek mentioning, the low fertility rates. Essentially, if red pill had it their way, society will still collapse the same way if feminism had it their way, society will collapse, right? There's no incentives for unity, right? Divided we fall. Divide and conquer. You guys are playing into that. And I'm a nationalist. From a political, this is one thing red pillars seems to miss. When a political when a political guy like me is talking about social issues, I'm not taking one side or the other. I'm taking hey, what is best for the community? What is best for the community is having this is why I think a lot of conservatives are working on a lot of the issues that are kind of putting up an incentive that's making men hesitant to marry. I seen Republicans are the one that's abolishing alimony, right? Ron DeSantis. I might be speaking from personal experience because I live in Florida, but Ron DeSantis just removed alimony. A bunch of Republican women were complaining and crying about that, right? Ron DeSantis, Florida governor of Florida, also put in parental rights for unmarried fathers, right? If you have a child with a woman outside of marriage, it's wholly regarded that you have no legal rights over it. Ron DeSantis made that possible. right? And I think the solutions are on the conservative side. Is just, in my view, what I'm noticing with a lot of these people from the red pill is that they have a conflict of interest, regardless if they don't believe that it's a philosophy. They're just explaining the reality of things. The reality of things is, this is a moral relative position that the red pill have. They don't have an objective standard, and this is the problem. I'm just pointing out as a conservative, is that you have an avenue for change. You can succeed where the men's rights activists fail, because now you have cultural weight, you got societal, I guess, power. Now you got influence, and you can leverage that to actually solve a lot of the problems that you guys point out. But there's a conflict of interest because they actually like the way current things are, right? And Rollo Tomassi is known as the main philosopher of this ideal. And he talks about, and this is a video, I want you guys to like watch this video, and then we'll get into his commentary about it. So let's take a quick look.
If you meet someone new, you're sexting. If you send them a video of your like prior sex tapes with other partners, they typically find that hot.
Yeah. I've actually
I don't know. I think at that point it's the watching together that's weird.
Wait,
No, yeah.
sorry. The
I knew
new
that happens.
upcoming boyfriend would be stoked on viewing,
I had that happen.
Yes.
and you think most men would feel
Yeah.
that way?
Yep.
Most men would be stoked on seeing videos
Yes.
of their soon-to-be girlfriend having sex with other men.
Yeah.
The last
Maybe
person
once
I
you
talked to
actually
like
start
that.
to get into a relationship, you won't
don't
like
get
it
You
anymore.
win the whatever
Men.
podcast.
Okay. I don't think I'm saying anything that crazy. If
And she is saying something crazy. And this is what I think I agree with Vivek, is that if we let 16-year-old impressionable people on social media and they get exposed to content like that, that's going to warp their perception of reality. And end of the day, like, red pills, you guys are playing a game of perception. You're not really playing a game of truth, right? This is so. To Roland Tomassi says she's not wrong. Biology trumps conviction. All that LARPing reads great on Twitter, but it goes right out the window if the girl's hot and she's into you. Just ask. And here's the funny part, because their whole goal is not marriage. This whole goal is not. They don't care anything from a societal point of view. All it is based on pleasure versus pain. This is why I call red pill the philosophy of vice, philosophy of pleasure. Just chase your pleasures, avoid pain, avoid the possible risk, and just have fun with these women. Breed with them, have kids with them. And to me, I don't know why I'm so against the red pill. I think a part of it is because I grew up in the black community, and that's going to be the end result of the red pill. He's going to have men with multiple women from multiple families, having multiple kids, and most men are not in the financial position to actually take care of multiple children in a stable environment, as many of them like to pretend that they're able to do, right? And the biology trumps conviction is a lie, right? Because end of the day, this is just a philosophy. It's just like, because humans have shown an ability to control their impulses, right? Just because you feel like, oh, my biology says that I want to have sex with this beautiful woman, even if it's against her will, we call that wrong, right? Because there's a consequence to those actions. So all Roland Martin is really saying is that if conservatives get in power and they enforce a societal pressure not to do biology, we'll comply. Because it seems like it's in biology to respect consequences. So is red pill really basing anything on morality, or is it just mainly basing on power? And this is what I'm talking about. I think there's no moral position in the red pill. I think red pill acknowledge that they have no moral position on this, but they give a subscription saying, oh, look, we're just trying to justify our actions. Because to me, it comes across as just rationalizing your impulses and behaviors, right? Because at the end of the day, that's not discipline. If you can't control your impulses and behavior, because we teach men how to control themselves because we realize how dangerous certain actions and ideas are. Just look at the black community. And if the red pill really spreads out like we think it is going to do, most men can't take care of multiple women. You got Nick Cannon out here having 10 kids, but he's in a wealthy position where he can take care of that, right? But what are the odds that a majority of men will be able to replicate that lifestyle, have that amount of net worth and income to take care of 12 kids from 12 different women? Not many men can say that. Right now, there's a man right now with the record of he has 33 kids by, I think, 15 women. He can't take care of all of them. He's on child support, and all of them splitting the child support 15 different ways between 33 kids. Imagine that. Right? But this is the kind of insinuation that the Rollo Tomassi got. And this is why he got a lot of flack from conservatives before, is because he said, oh, get a vasectomy. Essentially, he's saying that sex serves no purpose but to gratify and pleasure men. That's it. This is the perspective that I'm interpreting. I'm not saying this is the truth. I'm just saying this is how it comes across to me. And this is why a lot of people in the mainstream don't really vibe with the red pill. At least the personalities behind it, because everyone was gonna say, because the biggest cop out the red pill has is that there is a vague, everyone is open to interpretation. They say they claim the truth, but the truth is following biology leads to destruction. Following biology leads to the fall and collapse of societies. So therefore, the truth is that we have to control biology. So this idea that, oh, biology trumps conviction, no, there's a consequence if we allow a society to devolve into Solomon and Gomorrah. We've been warned about it in the Bible. People don't like religion, but at the end of the day, religion is a check against human nature. That's the reality. The reason why we have principles is to regulate human nature, because unregulated human nature destroys society. This is the argument that conservatives are having. And also, at one point, if biology trumped conviction, wouldn't biology trump her attractiveness? Because men don't like sharing other women. So here's a clip I got, as a combined clip I got of two people I perceive as more, that represents more of the conservative worldview on a lot of the dating culture and the way that a lot of women portray themselves. One's gonna be Charlie Kirk, and one's gonna be a guy named Sovereign Bruh. I think he's a Christian guy. He just recently turned Christian or something, and he gives a more synonymous take about how what Roland Tomasi says here doesn't make sense because it conflicts. In one hand, he said biology trumps conviction, but it based on the conviction of what you have. Hey, I want to get married. Would that be something marriage material? No. Maybe, hey, if I want to sleep around in the bed, one night stand type stuff, sure. Because end of the day, if you want to only have sex with a woman, her having a sex tape shows, oh, she would be more willing to just be sex only. She wouldn't expect having marriage, kids, and other stuff. And this is the kind of problems that I'm kind of highlighting here. And this is the conflict of interest I think I'm trying to point out about the red pill and some of the concerns that a lot of conservatives have with it. Is that you say that, hey, we're just telling the truth of the matter, but the solutions and subscriptions you put into dealing with the problem is more continually enabling the current situation that's going on. And I think that's the problem that conservatives have with the red pill. But I digress. Let's take a look at this clip, and then I'll continue the video with Vivek Ramaswamy. Let's take a look.
You were saying that, like, oh, if you only have one partner, you're not going to think about other people. But I actually feel like that might make you wonder even more.
Yeah.
You'll be seeing all these girls online, you'll be watching porn, you'll be thinking about all these other things, and it's like all you have is one person. And like, I don't know, I feel like that would kind of open up a lot of curiosity.
Yeah, that would drive me crazy. I would like always be wondering what I was missing, and like, did I miss out on something good because I was holding out for something that maybe turned out not to be what I thought it was.
Yeah, looking around, I can't say that I think I'm missing much, to be honest.
Why would a guy not be interested in dating somebody who does the kind of work that we do?
I'm a very territorial man. Like, I don't want to share my woman with anyone. I don't want guys knowing what her body looks like in terms of like what she looks like underneath her clothes, what she looks like naked, anything like that. I want that to be reserved for me and me alone. And I want that to be a special thing that we share with one another. That's one aspect of the psychology. The other aspect of it is I don't want my kid's mother, her body all over the internet. I don't want my kids to have to potentially deal with that someday, because I read stories about kids who do get bullied at school for it and they end up killing themselves. It's just, there's way too many liabilities there for me personally.
So as you can see, that's biology too, right? So where's the conflict? Like, end of the day is about what is your purpose? Like, what purpose are you dating for, right? And based on what is your purpose, aka, or I'll say your convictions, what are you here for? Hey, I'm here to date because I'm dating with a purpose. Okay, if you're dating with a purpose, what's your purpose? My purpose is to get married. Okay, would that be woman? Like, no matter how hot she is, I can't take her seriously for marriage, right? And this is what I'm saying. It's based on this atheistic materialist view. Like, hey, let me get as much resources as I can. Let me get as much power as I can. Let me get as much leverage as I can. Let me indulge in everything, right? And that breeds a lifestyle of vice, hedonism. And that's what red pill will lead down to, because a lot of the prescriptions and the approaches that red pillars advocate their followers to do is only going to perpetuate and enable the current culture, instead of saying, hey, look at the problems that we face, and it's up to me to do what I want with the information, right? Red pill, okay, I want to go into politics. I want to tell politicians, hey, let's fix some of these issues. But red pillars like Pearl, and I think this is where I get a problem with Pearl, because Pearl goes, Trump, what are you doing for men's rights? And I'm like, none of these dudes that's on the red pill are actually trying to lobby Trump, lobby, like, end of the day, like, Red Pill has so much power. Like, they don't understand. They have so much influence that they can leverage their influence to actually solve the problems that they're complaining about. Hey, let's lobby the government. Let's go to the conservatives because the Republicans seem to be fixing some of these issues, addressing some of our concerns. Let's push something a little further. Let's show them more of our concerns. And if we're able to lobby, aka, hey, look at all the support we have. Look at all the followers that we have combined as the manosphere. This is what we want in policy. And you can make a valid argument that, if I can get these voters to come along with what I'm doing, all right, here's a deal. And you can make a deal with Trump. But that's not what y'all doing. You're not trying to get into politics. You're not trying to provide any solutions. All you guys do is comment like I am. But then you give a more socially based critique about how men should approach these problems. And telling them, hey, just don't get involved. Don't get married. Don't do this. And that's all you're really telling them. You're telling the men to be passive and just accept the reality of what is currently today. Where the idealist in me coming out, that's a realist perspective, but where the idealist in me comes out is that a lot of things that happened weren't probable at the time. People didn't think it was probable for Donald Trump to win in 2016, but he did it anyway. So this idea, this is why I would reject this idea that the red pillers say, oh, that women ain't going back. There's no changing this. No, there is. As a conservative, as a political person, I know if you change the incentives, you change the outcomes. That's undisputable. Red pill can't dispute this. They can bring all the facts, all the stats they want, but the idea is, okay, so you're telling me if I change these incentives, I change the outcome. All I have to hear is yes. Okay, so why not advocate to changing of incentives? This is where the conflict of interest comes out. They can't be smashing hoes if they change the incentive. If women know, damn, most good men ain't gonna marry me because I have a sex tape on OnlyFans, and all the good men are more conservative leaning, I'm not gonna be sleeping around like that. It's gonna hurt the amount of women that these red pillers can get, right? Because at the end of the day, the solutions here hurt the red pill dudes, right? There won't be as much available women willing to sleep with them and roll around with them or cheat with them, because now social stigma will come back, shame will come back. Right? Because there's social consequences. And that's one thing red pills can't deny. Right? We're using biology here, right? We're not using a religion. We're not using none of that. I create an incentive structure where I demonize or disincentivize certain behaviors that's not productive for society. Right? Biology respects consequences. Biology, in the hierarchy of things, prioritizes survival over sexual gratification. So if a woman knows, hey, it's going to be hard, it's going to be a hard time surviving in this society if I'm known as the town's bicycle, if I'm known as a hoe, I'm not going to do those things that will project me to be that way. And that means red pill, in a way, that's why I'm saying there's a conflict of interest here. And no amount of cope, no amount of rationalization in the comment section by the red pill followers can justify this. Now, I do recognize there's problems in our culture. I understand that. But the conservative solution is, let's help change the incentives. How can we change the incentives? Remove no-fault divorce. Agreed. A lot of conservatives have been said removing no-fault divorce was a mistake. All conservatives recognize that. Alimony, we're removing that. I already gave you an example. I gave you examples how a Republican governor removed alimony at the seething of Republican women. So we're actually pushing the solutions. It's just, are you advocating for them? Or are you just going to sit back and complain? Sit back and just accept the situation? This is why I say red pillars, you're coming across defeatist in a way. But, I digress. Let's get into the video.
Mature use of social media. Social media is known to prey on the insecurities that many young people, including teenagers, have sooner than their own ability to be able to handle it. So one of the things I've talked about, it's not a particularly partisan idea, is that I think if you're not old enough to smoke an addictive cigarette by the age of 18 or have an addictive drink of alcohol by the age of 21, I don't think you should be using an addictive social media product by the age of 16 either, at least until before the age of 16. And so what does that have to do with family formation? I think it has to do with some of that loss of psychic fortitude that later causes people to be less inclined or have the lack of grounding or self-confidence in themselves to go on and have children. I think the other thing that we do a lot of is we have policies dating back decades now that pay people more money not to go to work than to go to work. That creates a sense of dependence on the government, a loss of freedom, and a loss of self-confidence and self-worth that further then contributes to the very communities that are actually receiving much of that so-called government aid correlate with many of the communities where you see loss of family formation as well.
Unmarried women look for the support of men of the state, simultaneously decrying patriarchy while doing little but sacrificing their femininity to support it. And if you see from the Democratic side, unmarried women make up 68% of Democrats in this country. Look at Republicans. Everyone votes Republican, but unmarried women, for the most part. So the reality is like, okay, red pillars. It's obvious why the women are going this way, because there's an incentive for women to vote Democrat, right? This is why a lot of women are becoming liberal and a lot of men are becoming conservative, and it's going to create a dating mismatch. So I honestly believe that social media, it really has ruined dating. I think it's caused this conflict of like this gender war type of thing, and I think the red pills kind of accelerate a lot of this stuff. I don't think is grounded in any solutions. I think it's more about stirring up engagement, drama, and you can just say this is just me like framing things in a negative way towards the red pill. But I honestly feel this way about it. I think that they're like, whenever someone tries to offer alternatives, another perspective on things, and another solution that we can approach, red pills find ways to demonize it, and talk negative about it, say, oh, it won't work. Oh, the women are too far gone. And I think that's the kind of defeatism that I don't relate to, honestly. I maybe my temperament is just more optimistic. I'm more willing to, hey, I'm not going to tell myself no. I'm not going to accept no from anyone else. I'll let the results speak for itself. And name me in history, any time in history where a society thrived and survived following hedonistic desires such as what the red pill is advocating for. No society has stood the test of time. In the Bible, they tell you about Sodom and Gomorrah. They're literally doing exactly what we're doing now. Greece, Rome, they were doing exactly what we're doing right now. Men having sex everywhere, women having affairs behind their husband's back, sexually undisciplined, and it unraveled an entire society. And we're literally going down the same route. And red pillars don't see a problem with that. Red pillars get to benefit from the stability that came with a more traditional culture, a more conservative culture, a more modest culture. They got to reap the benefits of that. They used to grow up in that. And then in modern times, they want to benefit off the current state of dating, have fun with all these young women, sleep around, right? Have their pick of the women, be able to have married women cheat on their husbands with them, do all this debauchery stuff, creating incentives, putting in the minds of these married women, oh, I can still have these young men. Let me divorce my husband. Then they find out that it's rough out here in these streets. That's why I agree with Charlie Kirk. I don't think I'm missing much. I'm 27 years old. I got married young. Yes, red pillars going to come at me for this one too. But I honestly believe that I saved myself a lot of headache not having to deal with the dating market today. I wouldn't trade my spot for any man. And I show my wife these videos. I say, hey, you want to be in these streets? These streets cold. But, these women are trying to cope and trying to put this idea that, oh, it's so fun out here. It's so fun. And I think this is the problem with chasing biology, because chasing biology, or using biology as a reasoning mechanism to justify why things are the way they are, it values short-term gain over long-term pain. And I think as a society, we wrapped up in instant gratification and not understanding the benefits of delayed gratification. And I think that when you push for success, you do the work, so later on you get overpaid for the work you do. And I think we lost that it's a lost art. I think perseverance is a lost art. Discipline is a lost art. And I think a lot of people are just tracing gratification, validation, and in social media, the validation is how many women you can be with, how hot is your girl, right? You get all these women talking about how beauty standards are unrealistic, but they're 28 years old putting lip fillers in their mouth. And I'm like, why are you doing that? Gen Z women are not complaining that they look older than millennial women because they're doing work earlier. What put the idea in a young woman's head to start getting lip fillers, Botox? Social media. And I did this to all tie this in, that social media is a net negative on the minds of the youth. And I honestly believe that just like porn, just like all these other websites that try to verify your age or something, I think it's incumbent on the parents to restrict access to social media. for a better culture and for a better future. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'm sure this is going to be a very spicy one. I think a lot of people are going to disagree with what I have to say. But I kind of like those videos. I think I learn more when I actually give my unresearched opinion about a lot of this stuff. Because this is just me, my intuition about things. It's not necessarily rooted in any logic or truth. In a way, it has some logic or some rationale behind it. But I understand that I don't know everything. I don't know all these content creators. I just know all the famous ones. And yeah, that's just my take on it. Let me hear your thoughts about it in the comment section. I'll be interested to read some of your comments, reply, some back and forth, and really understand like how we move forward from here. I think that's the question I have. How do we move forward from here? What do red pillars want to see to make them have more confidence in engaging in dating and relationships? I understand the consequences. Hey, let's not make it such harsh consequences for divorce. Let's not giving women everything. And I see conservatives already making steps to it. But the problem I think a lot of red pillars have with conservatives is the changes are not happening fast enough. But just like how we arrived here step by step, the fixes and changes and solutions will also happen step by step. And I think that's the only caveat that I'll put in this discussion. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd really be interested to hear what you guys have to say. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.